welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we are with a very, very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben Eadie. I do props and special effects for movies, and you may have seen one or two of them. So just give me a sec. I got something stuck in my eye here. Never fails. There we go.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into prop making?
You're still
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into prop making?
how I got into prop making. Well, ever since I was a kid, oddly enough, one of my most recent known movies is Ghostbusters. And as a kid, I got into prop making because I always found the PKE meter really interesting. And I had made a dowel stick and a piece of cardboard and had some arms that would move with a little rubber band that I hooked up to my finger. So that's kind of where it all started. And, years and years and years later, I got invited to work on Ghostbusters Afterlife. But prior to that, my background's aeronautical engineering. I worked as a freelance engineer for, good grief, I think 15, 20 years. I did everything from, baby change table injection, plastic injection stuff to there's some things in satellites flying over your head that I had something to do with. I even broke a few world records along the way. And, years later, a friend of mine that was working on The Revenant had told me that her boss was looking for somebody who knew a little bit about engineering and stuff and was a little bit on the crazy side. And I thanked her for calling crazy and ended up on a phone call. And the next thing you know is I was working on Star Trek Beyond, designing some of the world's largest rotating sets ever used. I did a good job because ever since I've been working in movies steady.
That's very cool. So,
that's awesome.
You touched on Ghostbusters and was it Star Trek Beyond? What other projects have you worked on?
You touched on Ghostbusters and was it Star Trek?
Yep.
What other project have you worked on?
Yep. I'm just at the cusp of not being able to rattle them off. All of them, because there's just enough that I can't remember them all. But let's see. So Star Trek, then I worked on Maze Runner and Death Note, Noel, which is a Christmas special for Disney with Anna Kendrick. In between time, I worked on some TV series like Arrow and I don't know. I can't remember the name of the show. Let's see.
Wow.
And then Predator was another one that I did. One of the last Predators was out, and in a really strange turn of events, in a different city entirely, I got hired on the next Predator being made, and it's in the can of being edited right now for Hulu. And I'm kind of freelancing again right now. I did a really cool thing where Tom Hanks had, through a mutual friend, gotten a hold of me and asked me if I could do a robot for him. So on the Cleveland Guardians' first pitch this season, he brought out Wilson, and Wilson was alive and rolled around. Wilson was me and my RC driver and team. So
that's really cool. Yes, I saw the picture of you meeting Tom Hanks on, I believe, Dustin Milne's either Instagram or Facebook, and yours as well. So that was very cool to see. I bet that was.
Yes. Yeah. Dustin's a good friend of mine. He actually.
Cool to see. I bet that was.
There's times where people pinch themselves, and I swear I'm a humble guy, and I don't try to find these things. They find me, but I pinch myself to, every time I wake up in the morning and kind of realize where I'm at, not being a Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy theme, but I wake up and I scream with joy. The 12-year-old in me is losing his freaking
when it comes
mind.
down to some of the props
people I'm
you've
working with
done,
and the things I'm doing.
how do you go about the process of laying everything out and then constructing it? And I would imagine it's different depending on what you're doing.
When it comes down to some of the props you've done, how do you go about the process of everything out and
You know, it's very different. If you're looking at giant rotating sets, and we're talking about these things will kill someone if they're not done properly, or kill many. And so you got to go through a proper engineering kind of process. It's a very condensed process, and it's very accelerated and a nightmare for most engineers, and even for me. But you look at it in that way. Other things like when you get into props and how to make them, just recently I was called by somebody and said, everybody else told me this couldn't be done. And I'm like, well, it can be done, but it's going to be difficult and it's going to be hard, and I'm sure tears are going to be shed at some point, but we're going to, I always say yes and kind of just roll the dice, and, knock on wood, I haven't done anything exceptionally stupid yet. But I think part of the process is just saying yes. Then the next part is figuring out how to do it. I grew up in a very artistic family, so I know how to paint things and make things look pretty good, and how to design things to fit within the constraints of something that's pretty. So you got to look at what's its functionality, what's it need to do. That's usually the first thing, and then figure out the mechanics, and then figure out how to skin it and go from there. Also keep in mind though that I'm always part of a team. Even something as simple as a ball robot. I had a robotics guy helping me. I had the best radio controlled driver that this city can afford help me out with driving it. I had Dustin Milne, who you just mentioned. The guys, I'm ADHD in a big way. Like I border on the spectrum, and Dustin is OCD beyond belief. So we can get shit done together. So, he helps me organize everything. But everything I've ever done is involved a team. I'm not an island. I don't come up with all these things on my own. I get help from a lot of people. So, long and short of it, I know this is a long rambling thing, but the long and short of it is that beyond just the mechanical and the design, everybody's got their own way of going about it. Some people go to the shop and build. Some like me hit the computer and design stuff up. Some people kind of do a hybrid. Other people dream. Like there's so many ways. But the most important thing in my workflow is that I have a lot of people that I've made friends with, and I make good friends, and I look at people and for what talents they have, and I ask them if they can help me out. It really is that simple. Make lots of friends, be a kind, generous person, and people will help you out when you need it. And it's usually not all that hard, especially if you come to with a project and go, well,
that's very
I need
cool.
to make robots.
Yeah, you're right. Being nice to people and
but then you hear
compassionate, caring, it goes a long way.
Well, no,
and
this is going to be for Tom Hanks. It's like, how can I help you out? It's those are the kinds of things that happen for me.
Nice people and compassionate, caring, it goes a long way. And you never know when you're going to meet somebody's help.
Well, I'll tell you an offshoot story. Years ago, I worked for, I helped found Calgary Search and Rescue Association in Calgary. We're right near the mountains. We do lots of rock climbing, or I used to do a lot of rock climbing. And I helped train up a bunch of people for free. You get people so that they can go out and rescue. And those very people I trained for free literally pulled me off the side of a mountain with a collapsed lung, a ruptured spleen. I had 40 broken bones. I was a mess. There's no God-given right why I should still be here.
When
but
we
I
were
am,
chatting
and that
back
was
and
nothing
forth
more
on
than just being
Facebook
kind and
Messenger,
generous and teaching other people how to do
maybe
it,
some
because those
props
people
you could
came around
kinda
and saved my life.
show us and kind of go over with us.
when
I
you're
know
doing
that
anything.
I don't know how long ago it was, but I saw that you did a YouTube thing with Adam Sandage, and kind of went over how the PKE worked and how it was remote controlled, and then of course Gina Grace. Can I say her name correctly? Sorry, McKenna Grace's proton pack was similar.
Yeah.
And kind of went over how the how it was, and then of course
It's okay.
Kevin Grace's proton pack was similar.
Yeah. You know, a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't have a proton pack I can show you, but I do have, let's see. Here we go. So just recently on my YouTube channel, I showed everybody how to take a PKE, but this is the Hasbro toy, and I just kind of made it a little more interesting and added batteries and everything to it and added the proper light animation. A lot of this is, you know, we could go into I could pull it apart if you really wanted me to here. I don't think it would necessarily serve your clientele all that well. They could check it out on my YouTube channel or the Ghostbusters YouTube channel. The Wilson robot that I had helped on and worked with is the number 2. The second one that was to be used in case the first one failed is, well, right here. You see it's already fallen apart for the first pitch. And this is just a 3D printed shell that I designed up, and the robot actuator mechanism that goes inside of it. Now, when we first see something like this, you might think that it looks fairly complex, and it truly isn't, because there's a motor right in here. There's one motor, and it spins this axle, and these 2 axles hook through onto the ball on either side, just so it just swings inside and sits on there like this. And you know, so you get the one servo, it spins and he moves them forward, so it can roll forwards and back. But how do you turn them? So we have a weighted piece down here with another servo put onto it right there. And all this does is it rolls back and forth. So if the ball's rolling along, say, forward towards the camera, and I tilt it like this, the ball's going to tend to do this, and it's going to want to turn. And it turns out to be a very exceptionally simple way to make a ball robot. And especially for live events or even in movies, is you want something that's very robust. And if it breaks down, you need to be able to fix it really fast. So you got to keep it simple. You keep it as simple as you possibly can. This is a good example of simplicity, because there are other ball robots out there with basically a omni-wheel car that fits on the inside of it and can make it do all sorts of whizzy things. But that would be hard to fix. This was simple to fix, and we knew what we needed to do. It did everything we needed it to do, and it was simple at the same time. Let's see. So we got those 2.
Wow.
A while ago, I made myself a flux capacitor because I was pretty tired about being in 2020. So, pardon me. My hay fever is brutal lately. So this is all 3D printed and laser cut, and I'm not sure if the batteries are still good in there. So I made it so that it all lights up and everything. And this is fully controllable via a phone, but you try to keep it as again, this isn't perfect to the movie, and this is like 84% the actual size, so it's a little smaller, but that's what fit on the print bed. But, right down to being able to open it up and take a look to the inside. You got a few things like this, and I build these sorts of props because there's not a Sony, and Ghostbusters is the first show I've done where I've been given some liberty to share on social media some of the stuff I've worked on. And I'm not sure exactly why they chose me to do this, but, or allowing me to do it, but they know I have a decent social media following, and they wanted to see, can I make a difference in the movie sales or the turnout? I hope I did. And, again, just go out and make friends and show people what you've done and be good about it, and make sure that the other people on the other end are okay with you sharing their IP, because, I can't just go out and show everybody a proton pack and what makes it work. Although, that being said, normally that would be the case. But
I know
I was
lot of my
encouraged to do
followers
so.
ask,
And I was at Sony late last year, and
other than
Eric
the
Wright, one of
proton
the
pack,
producers, said, "Hey,
and
you into the prop house, and you can do some shoots about
some of the other stuff.
What's on the inside of the proton pack."
Did you have
what? You're gonna let me do that?
Crafting and making.
So start showing people
after.
how all that works, and you can find some of that on my TikTok and my YouTube channel and that sort of thing. Just give me a sec. I dropped something that's going to bug me because. Yeah, what's that?
Other than the and the some other stuff, what and graphic making on After?
Again, so this is one of those things where I'm sort of the figurehead on the team. Now, I helped to do a lot of the cannons on the inside of the cave cannons. We were given parts and we kind of had to assemble that. But again, it was a full team, and Peter White was one of the people that we hired. The guy's an exceptional craftsman and being able to make things look amazing. So, he did a lot of that and a lot of the team. With proton packs, there's a few things like the switch that needed to be added. It was added by. Let me go back a little bit. When a production is started up, the producers and everybody will go to a prop shop and go, we need this thing. So this thing being like a proton pack or the PKEs or the RTV, and different prop shops get these projects and they build what they can off of what the artist renderings are. Then they get handed off to somebody like myself. Sometimes I am building things, not always, but in this case, I didn't build a whole lot. I had a lot to do with the rejigging and making sure that everything would work properly for the show. So going back to the proton packs and the switch, is that the switch, the way it was made, there was a communication error, and originally it was put on the wrong spot. So, I had to rejig it and figure out how to fit the on-off switch in the proton arm, or the proton arm. So, doing things like that. The RTV, because it's a very complex RC car, making sure that certain things would work at certain times, and there's so many moving parts. I spent a vast majority of my time just figuring out how to make sure that this thing would run always. You can't have downtime on a set when they're rolling and you say, hey, I need 5 minutes to fix something. That 5 minutes will literally cost them $10,000 to $20,000. So you need to know how to fix it.
I know
in
talking
time and be able
to
to
Dustin
do
that some of the
my time
Alberta
was
guys
figuring out how to
at the Ghostbusters franchise
how to make sure
helped out
things
on
ran
some stuff
properly,
too.
making sure everything was kept up to.
So that was cool to
things
talk
were ready
to them and kind
when
of
they
get some
needed to be
insight.
ready for set. And again, that rolled back into just being part of the team. I was asked to help on a few things, but I try to be humble, and I just took care of stuff. I was a babysitter at the props in this case. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know talking to Dustin that some of the Alberta guys,
Yeah,
the Ghostbusters franchise up there helped out on some.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, those guys.
Yeah,
They
and I talked to him in length
saved
about
our
some of that
asses
stuff and
on one thing.
about
we had
some of
some
the
pieces
cast that
come in, they weren't
were
correct.
done up.
Again, miscommunications happen in any industry.
He didn't know who they
company.
were until after
And
the fact.
we had like 3 days.
Says a
to
lot
fix
about
something.
how
I was out
the
of
production
town,
itself
and
was
Dustin
done.
and the
And
Alberta Ghostbusters, they
the
stepped
end
up to the
product
plate
was just
and
amazing.
literally saved our bacon. There's some shots in that movie that would not have been made had it not been for the Alberta Ghostbusters. Yeah.
I talked to him in length about some of that stuff and about some of the casts that were done up. And he didn't word until after the fact. There's a lot about how the production itself was done. The end product was just amazing.
I'm glad to hear that. You're always worried about stuff you've worked on. I'm trying to think if I've worked on a flop, and I don't think I've worked on a flop. I've worked on movies that haven't done well, but I don't think I've worked on a flop. But you have this fear that it's coming, and I'm going to look like a jerk, or I'm doing something wrong, and it can be emotionally frustrating, especially in that I do the physical, the practical effects or the props, so I don't see much on the back end. So there's a 6-8 months, in the case of Ghostbusters, a 2-year wait before you get to see what the final product is, and you're thinking, is it going to work? Oh, please, is it going to work? Or is this bad? But, the one thing that I truly enjoyed was, and maybe it's good or bad, but Ghostbusters, hands down, was not the most technical thing I've ever done. It wasn't the most amazing, huge thing I've ever done. It was a team of people that truly, truly believed in the movie, that really wanted to have something magical happen. And because of that, the group of people you're working with, it was so collaborative. It was so comfy. I worry that there's never going to be a show like that I get to work on again, because it was that good. It was, yeah. I think it was,
and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask,
cool shows
during
I'll ever get to
the
work
filming
on.
and everything, did you get a chance to meet Ivan or Jason?
I'm not sure that it can be done, but because of that, that's why I think the movie came out so well, because of all the hard work and all the collaboration and the true belief that they wanted everything right. Everybody knew what this movie should be about and where it should go, and that vision kind of came in pre-built. People didn't need to be sold on a script. They needed to be, told where that script's going to go and how they can help out.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, but during the filming and everything, did you get a chance to meet Ivan or Jason?
Oh yeah, I'm lucky enough to call Jason a friend now. And I hung out with him quite a bit. I was the guy on set in touch with a lot of the four people. Ivan God, it's so hard to say. But he was this very quiet, thoughtful, kind, generous guy that was always there, kind of keeping an eye on things. And yeah, there's nothing good that.
I've heard nothing but good things about
that I can say about
everybody I've talked to that's been involved with either
being able to call some of these
Adam
people
Savage
now,
or
is amazing.
The production
I got
of
to meet
Ghostbusters, especially when it comes down to Jason.
A little while later,
Ivan,
we exchanged phone numbers and we talk on a regular basis.
Humble, and just wanted to make
again,
this
the 12-year-old in me is like
for the
losing
fans,
his mind.
because at heart, I guess they, especially Jason, growing up around it, they were all
started
fans.
watching Mythbusters and became enamored with the show and the people. Yeah, he's losing his mind because somebody I've idolized is now somebody I can actually call a friend. It's something else.
Yeah, and I've heard nothing but good things about everybody I've talked to that's been involved with either, M. Savage or the production of Ghostbusters, especially when it comes down to Jason and Ivan, that both of them are just down to earth, humble, and just wanted to make this movie more for the fans. Because at heart, I guess especially Jason growing up around here, they were all fans.
Well, true, and keep in mind too that Jason is an incredibly talented writer, and him and Keenan together as a team, the stories they can craft, the emotions they can provoke. I guess that's a good quality to have. Is insane. It took me I'm guessing 7 reads through the script. You go through it over and over again. You get to the point where you damn near memorize the thing. And before I would not cry at the end. It's like they can just pull on people's emotions like no one.
Oh no! You still sounded really good.
Being able to flow and get that beat, those are extreme talents. And they, you're right. They are humble. In some ways, I really wish they'd brag more because damn, they deserve it.
Projects that you would like. Are there any projects you would like to have worked on, or would like to work on coming up?
Yeah, the connections. Oh, there.
And I guess that's a good quality to have, though.
Yeah, it is. I seem to be losing you once in a while here, so let me know if you're having any problems on your end.
Oh, no, you still sounded really good.
Okay.
So going into projects that you would like, are there any projects you would like to have worked on, or would you like to work on coming up?
I think I missed my window of opportunity. Is the ultimate, the holy grail, pun intended, is Indiana Jones. Growing up as a kid, that was my jive. That was like, the kids that were Star Wars or Star Trek or Ghostbusters, and I loved all of those, and I truly loved Ghostbusters. But Indiana Jones
I
was
think
dear,
that
so dear to my heart.
You never know.
Went as far as anybody I knew in the movie industry that if you ever need somebody and you happen to be working on it, I will work on it for free.
There are things that could come up. You never know. They could make another one.
Just to say I worked on it. And of course, I'd want to do a Harrison Ford one. Maybe maybe there will be a future movie based off of something else. Who knows what this last movie was? But last movie's in the can, and I didn't get a chance to be on it. But that's okay. I've had some amazing shows to work on, so I definitely can't complain. But
so
that would have been the ultimate
on having
for me, for sure.
A YouTube channel. Yeah. Is it just under your name?
I truly have to apologize for clearing my throat so much here.
Definitely, and I think that you never know. I mean, you're good. There are things that could come up. You never know. They could make another one.
They could, and my fingers are crossed. But it's that being said, like I said before, it's not. I'm not heartbroken about it, but it definitely that would have been it. I can live without it though.
Very cool. So you touched on having a YouTube channel. Is it just under your name, or?
Yeah, if you go to YouTube and then youtube.com, then / and Ben Eadie, so BENEADIE, you'll be able to find my channel. And I go through, I'm still kind of finding my pace. I haven't hit my episode 43 the podcast has. Or is it 42? I can't recall. But it's it's a hodgepodge of years ago when I was doing engineering. I taught people how to do SolidWorks stuff. Now I'm doing like all the props and the laser cutting, the 3D printing tips and tricks that I've figured out. I always find that there's so many prop makers and so many engineers that hold a great idea to their chest and it's their magic thing. And I half respect that and I half don't, because I always wonder what the world would be like if knowledge was shared and not sold or made a commodity. So I try to share everything that I do. And recently I figured out a way to literally half the time of a 3D print if you do a little bit of fore-end work on the computer-aided design side, and use that. And also recently a company had contacted me, and they know I do a fair amount of laser cutting and stuff for the pieces that I need. In fact, it's my go-to tool. It's my favorite tool. And they said, we have this little diode laser. It's for engraving. Do you want to take a look at it? And I thought, okay, well, I'll take a look at this toy.
Yeah, that's very cool.
This thing it's got some chops, and it's a little tiny, $400, I think, to buy this desktop laser. The bed is 400 by 400. And man, if you're a home prop maker, you need one of these things. There's something else. And I'm kind of going through that, and they asked me to do a video on it, a review, and I've done that, and it's been well received. But I'll tell you what, I'm in love with this thing enough. I'm going to be doing a whole lot more on what you can do with this laser cutter. I can see it being that, a lot of people buy a 3D printer nowadays, and I get that. It's a great tool, but there's an amazing amount of stuff that can be sort of flat patterned and cut out, and that's where the laser kicks in. And this is finally something that people can afford. So I'm pretty excited about that. And by the way, that wasn't just some big long pitch saying, "Hey, you need to go out and get one of these things." I hope
the key,
you
no
do,
matter
but
what industry
that's
you're
not the
in,
point.
It's to work
I
smarter,
can
not
see
harder.
this laser changing industry a little bit, because going back to how do I design and make things? First thing I look at is the design. I'll do a 3D design. Then how do you manufacture it? Now, you can 3D print stuff, but a lot of times it takes a huge amount of time. And you can laser cut a vast majority of stuff so very much faster than 3D printing that you got to look at it and think, can I make this structure I can laser cut out of plastic or wood and put it together? And I'd say a good 60-70% of the time you can. So that's kind of one of my secret sauce things is I build faster than the other guys because I look at what tools will actually make things work faster,
well, that, you know,
not just better.
Doing it that way and just kind of stepping back a little bit and taking your time with it is also, you know,
Very cool.
measure twice, cut once kind of thing where you can get the most out of whatever material you're going to use.
Smarter, not hard.
Oh, yes. You know, even to this day, and I know I'm not the only one, but you know, I'll be on
talking with Adam Savage,
and I'll just be like a handle. I'll just be cranking and pressing hard, and I can hear my dad going,
Mythbusters or some of the stuff
push
that he
on the
does
tool.
for,
Let the
for
tool
YouTube.
do the work, and you have to stop, and you have to relax your arm, and then you're pushing, and you realize you're hogging through the material
like
10
an Iron
times
Man
faster
suit.
when you're trying to force the damn thing, but everybody's in such a rush and they're trying to push things that you're not using.
What do you think about some of the stuff that he's
harder,
done?
Not smarter.
And,
I'm not very smart, so
you know,
I work hard at all.
If an opportunity came up for you to collaborate with him on something, you think that would be something that would be a lot of fun?
Well, that, you know, doing it that way and just kind of stepping back a little bit and taking your time with it is also, you know, measure twice, cut once kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You get the most out of whatever material you're going to use.
Absolutely.
So, in talking with Adam Savage, I find watching his stuff, whether it be like you touched on Mythbusters or some of the stuff that he does show at one point on Discovery where he made like an Iron Man suit.
Oh God, it's so cool, dude! I held it. It's amazing.
Yeah. What do you think about some of the stuff that he's done? And, you know, if an opportunity came up for you to collaborate with him on something, you think that would be something that would be a lot of fun?
I guarantee it would be a lot of fun. There was, and again, this is my perspective. I don't want to be putting words or thoughts into anybody's heads, but there was, when we had the camera crew doing behind the scenes footage of me and Adam doing some things together, they were so excited about the footage, and we were told a few times that like I like to think I'm a kind of person that can bring a little bit of energy to the room. Adam, hands down, is a person who is like that. He walks in a room and you just feel it build.
True,
you don't even
very
need to know he's there. You can
and
literally
I think
feel him
that,
come in.
you know, and of course, in talking with
the two
you
of us
now
together
and seeing some of the
is
stuff
a
that
bit
he's
hard
done,
for
you
people
guys,
to tolerate sometimes. So,
as far as being able to think things up
I
and then
adore
physically
working
make
with
it.
him. There's skill sets that he has that I don't.
It's just the overall
we respect each other's
thought
skill
process
sets.
of it. It just
we'll stop and
you have
talk
to have that mechanical
and say, like, you know, this is the way I would do it.
type of mind to be able to put stuff like that together.
You can see how both of our heads are working together in how to make all of this work. Or who's, you know, there's times where there's things that he shows me and I'm like, you know, I've been doing it wrong all my life. You just corrected me. So thank you. So, you know, I would love that opportunity. I'm not sure if it'll ever come up. I'm quite comfortable with just being his friend. But yeah, I would do that in a second, and I think it would go well. But you never know until you actually do stuff like that, right?
That is very true, very true. And I think that, you know, of course, in talking with you now and seeing some of the stuff that he's done, you guys, as far as being able to think things up and then physically make it, it's just the overall thought process of it. It just, you have to have that mechanical type of mind to be able to put stuff like that together.
Yeah, I think, you know, both of us grew up with
just like anything,
shops,
you know,
or,
I would imagine
a very
that
good
if you
tool
do
set,
things,
and and we're encouraged to play with them.
A lot for a long period of time. It's like riding a bike.
Has a little bit to do with that.
You can step away from it and go right back to it and be able to do it with no problem.
I don't think that we're necessarily wired different than anybody else. It's a skill set that we've managed to develop over a years growing up. And, you know, if there's somebody going, oh, I wish I could do something like that, but I don't have the skill set. Shut up. Don't ever say I don't have the skill set. All that means is start building something. And if that involves just building a cake or getting a plastic model and following instructions and putting it together, that's step one. Start doing it. And then just keep pushing yourself to do more stuff. So, yeah, both of us have a unique way of putting things together and kind of conceptualizing and making things work. But it's not special. It's just what we're good at.
Just like anything, you know, I would imagine that if you do things a lot for a long period of time, it's like riding a bike. I mean, you can step away from it and go right back to it and be able to do it with no problem.
Yeah, you know, but being just, you know, I have kids, and a little while ago I was trying to teach them how to ride a bike. It had been many, many years since I got on a bike, and it's not like just get on the bike and ride it. Or at least it wasn't for me. So you still need a little bit of practice here and there, and you got to keep up on your skills. So, yeah, I partly agree. At the same time, you know, growing with what you're doing, and know that there's always something to be learned, or that you're probably going to be doing it the wrong way. I've got a new video coming out tomorrow or the next day on my YouTube channel on how to do bevel cuts in an EVA foam using a laser, just a standard laser, nothing with the special head that tilts or anything. But the methodology that I need to get that to happen is a bit on the time-consuming side, and I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts that 5 minutes into the video being published, somebody's gonna come up and go, well, why do you do it that way, dumbass? You can just you click the line and say put a gradient on it, and I'm gonna have to sit there and humble myself. But I look forward to that, because I've learned over the years that people aren't necessarily criticizing you. They're telling you what they feel is the better way.
Yeah, and I agree. When somebody gives you constructive criticisms that way, you should just look at it outside the box kind of thing.
If you can look at criticisms that way,
what will work
it makes
for you
so much easier to
out
digest
of that and apply it.
It can be fun, and you can be self-deprecating.
The way that you do things,
I'm an idiot.
There's always room to improve, no matter what
when I used to
industry
teach
you're
computer-aided design to people on the engineering side, you know, they'd be doing some special cut, and I'd be like, well, why aren't you hitting this one button? And you can see that flash over their eyes. You know, you think that they've lost probably 10 months of their life to doing it their method, knowing that instead of the 40-step process they took, it was one button, you know, and that's happened to me too. It's almost soul. It can sort of kill your soul, but instead of letting it kill your soul, look at it, laugh at it, learn from it, and move on. And know your life is going to be better because of it. And, you know, who knows?
We touched on the YouTube channel. Of course, you're on Facebook.
Other tools or other
are you on Instagram? And I know you said you're on TikTok.
They're not lost in the world. They're different.
Yeah, and I agree. When somebody gives you constructive criticism, you should just look at outside the box kind of thing and take what will work for you out of that and apply it, you know, to the way that you do things. There's always room to improve, no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And even, you know, having young kids come in brand new to the industry, first day, I'll tell you what, the people are going to teach you something. And usually it's within the first hour of them showing up. You need to stop and listen to everyone. And I mean, like, everyone. That 2-year-old mumbling that you can barely understand a word they're saying, sometimes they have insights into things that you have absolutely no concept of, and you got to listen to everyone.
Yeah, I agree. So, we touched on the YouTube channel. Of course, you're on you're on Facebook, and are you on Instagram? And I know you said you're on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me there. The nerds will get this. This is the right channel, no offense. But my handle on Instagram and on TikTok is the Dread Maker Roberts. A callback to like one of my favorite movies, just a slight twist on the pirate theme. And you can find me there. That's one way to find me.
And I think that's
I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook.
What happened to us when I initially reached out? But
I'm finding
you're a busy guy.
So many
that is for
social
sure.
medias out there that it's frustrating to try to follow all of them. So those are the main ones. And understand that after
but
Ghostbusters
like you said, busy's good. It keeps things coming in, and it keeps
on
your
Facebook
mind fresh
especially. I was getting
in what you
hundreds
do.
of Facebook friend requests, and nothing more than that. I would love to make friends with everybody, but it becomes overwhelming, and with the family and everything, you got to be careful. So there are certain ones, I say that Facebook is the one that I keep fairly guarded. So if you're trying to reach out to me on Facebook, the chances of you actually getting me through a DM are going to be pretty small. Things on TikTok and whatnot, again, I do look at the DMs and stuff, not all of them. Again, the volume can be staggering. And I'm not trying to bloat myself up. I just don't want people to be frustrated or angry.
It's a learning process. That is for sure.
I do like conversations. It's just I
think for most people who have that mindset of,
I hope they understand that
every day I learn something new, no matter how little, no matter how small or big it is.
Yeah,
you're always going to have stuff coming in. You're always going to have that knowledge set that continues to grow.
You're a busy guy. That is for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But like you said, busy's good. It keeps things coming in, and it keeps your mind fresh in what you do.
Yeah. There's one thing I said earlier is that I always say yes to projects, and I recommend that. But there are times where the stress involved in after you say yes and you realize that you might not have the skill set or you might not know the right people and that you've got to figure this shit out because you just said yes. It's not for everyone. And there's times where it's not even for me, and I don't know why.
Definitely.
I do it myself,
and hey,
but,
I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to sit and talk with me. It's been a lot of fun, man. I've learned a lot about you, and I've learned a lot about the stuff that you do. So that's great. I enjoy just sitting and talking to people, no matter what they do.
Every day I learn something new, no matter how little, no matter how small or big it is.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to have.
So I hope you have a great night, and I'll definitely reach out to you as soon as this is ready to post up.
Yeah. Yeah, always be learning. I'll forever. I have this thirst for figuring how things work. And I've thought that over years. I used to do a lot of painting or artistic painting or drawing or sculpting.
Have a great night.
I even did chainsaw sculpting, and I've always gotten tired of stuff. Look, I hate saying it, but I get bored. But this kind of thing, the quest for just any kind of knowledge, it just never seems to end. And that's one thing I hope a lot of people can take and use, is just always be curious and try to figure out what's going on in your world, because it's so much fun. It really is.
Definitely. And hey, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to sit and talk with me. It's been a lot of fun, man. I've learned a lot about you, and I've learned a lot about stuff that you do. So that's great. I enjoy just sitting and talking to people, no matter what they do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very much the same.
So I hope you have a great night, and I'll reach out to you as soon as this is ready to post up.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and hi to all your followers and everybody. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Yes, sir. I hope we can do it again.
Sure we can.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.